Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new and the first NVIDIA update video. I'll be starting to make these videos every single day along with my Tesla videos. So yeah, if you enjoy these NVIDIA update videos, let me know by hitting that like button. That's really the easiest way. So yeah, with all that being said and done, let's just jump into it. Obviously, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button as well. I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. And of course, if you enjoy my videos and you want these kind of updates even further, right? I do have a membership section. At the moment, I'm only posting Tesla stuff, sometimes NVIDIA and other stocks, but I am opening up a new tier that will include Tesla and will also include NVIDIA as a bonus tier for those that want it. That is coming soon. But all that being said and done, let's just jump into it. NVIDIA closing the day up a nice 4% on the day, closing at pretty much $109 per share, almost exactly to the penny, which is going to be a phenomenal day compared to the market, with the market being fairly flat. So what is happening with the stock, right? What is happening with NVIDIA and what can we expect moving forward? Well, NVIDIA is showing some pretty powerful strength today, right? The one thing that's concerning, not NVIDIA really, but what's concerning for the market is the market's barely up on a day that NVIDIA, which is essentially the king of the market now, is only up or is up 4%. So, what happens if NVIDIA decides to finally reject around potential rejection level? We'll talk about that soon. What happens to the market, right? That's kind of a concern for me. But speaking of NVIDIA specifically, so obviously we're in this little bit of a downward channel, right? For quite some time, ever since all the way back here around the 10th or 11th of July, right? We've been in this pretty powerful downward channel, right? Very aggressive move to the downside, getting below all major levels quite some time. You can see over here, there was a major level pretty much right in between this kind of 116 to about almost 120, right? We had many supports there, finally broke down below, came back up, retested that. This time obviously turned support into resistance successfully. And now we created that downward channel. And then we went down even further. Same idea here, this level pretty much that we're at right now. So it's a pretty important level we're at, right? This kind of like, 107.5 to pretty much like as high as about 110-ish was a support area. You can see many times back here, bam, came down into it, support, bounced even further, came down into it, bam, bounced even further. Had a false breakdown here, but nonetheless, had some nice support over here, some nice resistance over here, and now we're pretty much right back in it. Now we did close a daily candle above what these previous daily candles were able to do, so that is a bit of a sign of strength. But with that being said, we're still at a pretty major area that is kind of a make or break it, in my opinion, for NVIDIA, at least for the short term. Why? Because again, it's a massive area of resistance. We're very close to the top of this channel, which is a downward channel. So if there's a place to reject, it's pretty much right around this kind of 110 to 112-ish region to make our way potentially down even further, right? To curl back down like this. That is a possibility. On top of that, if we bring out our market bias, you can see here, right? NVIDIA is pretty respectable of the market bias. You can see what happened last time we broke out of the market bias, turned green, and we had a phenomenal rally on NVIDIA, right? Or back here, where it turned red, had a bit of a false breakout into just a massive decline once again. Same idea here. We went back down under the market bias, it turned red, came back into it, retested it, went down even further, came back up to it, retested it, made a lower high. Clearly, it's a resistance, went down even lower. So currently, NVIDIA is making lower highs, lower lows, which is concerning. But we're back into the retest of this market bias, back into the retest of the 23-day moving average, which is this white line between the bands, right? While NVIDIA was being oversold over here. And now we're at a major resistance area. If NVIDIA can break, essentially, in my opinion, at least above 112 and start holding, it would break out of this downward channel. It would get back above the 23-day moving average, roughly, or 20 to 23-day moving average. They're pretty much the same, honestly, right? Very close. And it would start potentially turning this market bias back to bullish, back to green. And that can change that trend back to a uptrend. Obviously, you'll still have red days in between that, of course, but it ultimately will and should change the trend back to being up, quite simply, right? So that's the main thing I'll be looking at right now, pretty much throughout this week, right? Pretty massive week coming up. NVIDIA earnings, of course, are not too far away as well. So we'll see how we react to that as well. But that's the main resistance level to look for. And if there's a place to reject and make our way back down even further, probably back down to maybe, at the very least, in my opinion, closer to $100 per share, if not potentially all the way back down to about 97, which is a pretty major level. You can see here, massive area of resistance before, came back into it, held it a few times all the way over here as well. That would be my next level to look out for NVIDIA. Now, obviously, if we end up going down even further below 97 and we start closing candles below 97, most likely expect the next level to be somewhere around between $90 to $88 per share, which is a massive area, a pivot point area right over here, you can see from before. But it's also a nice volume profile that does have a nice increase in volume that has a pretty decent trading range right around here, and I would expect NVIDIA to most likely hold there. Now, the other thing to pay attention to on NVIDIA is going to be this green trend line. You can see ever since pretty much this little pivot moment right here, massive fall. And then pretty much from here, NVIDIA continued up even higher, substantially started making higher highs, higher lows. But this trend line has been intact. It pretty much, during that massive market crash we had last week, NVIDIA came down right to it, held it, bounced off of it pretty nicely as well. And so far, it's pretty damn good. So again, I personally, at least as of right now, I'd be pretty surprised if we go below 96 to like 96 to 95-ish dollars per share. If we do come back down there, I would expect that to hold as of right now. I wouldn't expect it to break below that as of right now as well, because if it does, I do think NVIDIA can get pretty damn more bearish. Also because, again, we do lose this trend line. We'll definitely be below the market bias. We'll definitely be below the band's regression median line, or the 20 to 23-day moving average, right? And that thing can be a little bit scary, right? I think the downtrend will definitely persist with that. But I don't think that'll happen as of right now. But I do think that there is a potential that there is a rejection point here, unless maybe CPI and PPI rally the whole market, which is a possibility. But then that would pretty much cause NVIDIA's trend to flip back to being bullish. As of right now, it is still technically short-term bearish until we break out of those levels, essentially 112, like I said. So that's going to be what I'll be looking for. But again, if you do reject, I expect to move most likely back down at the very least to the low 100s, if not all the way back down to about 97, which in my opinion, not financial advice, just for now, would be a pretty phenomenal buying opportunity. Now, the stochastic on the daily chart, you can see bullish, right? It's looking pretty solid, but the MACD still bearish. It's getting close to flipping bullish though. It is getting close, and NVIDIA historically has been pretty damn good once the MACD flips bullish. It's been rallying pretty substantially off of that, so you can definitely wait for that kind of confirmation. Up to you, of course. It's, it's your money, do with it what you want, but if this thing starts to flip bullish on the daily chart, can be very promising. The BX trender is making higher lows, so ultimately NVIDIA is looking like it definitely wants to try and change that trend. If we get any dips throughout this week, as long as those levels hold I just mentioned, in my opinion, as of right now and as it stands, it looks like a potential buying opportunity. And I think NVIDIA, after that, potentially a run up into earnings is expected. We'll see if that actually occurs or not, but that's pretty much what I currently expect as of right now. Going over to the 1 hour chart really quickly, you can see we're in some low volume profile right now. So stochastic has been overbought for quite some time, and it has crossed bearish once again. So again, the short term, like the very short term, like pretty much this week even potentially, I am seeing some signs of potential, caution here, a little bit of caution, right? I wouldn't be too overly excited just yet. The BX trender is starting to make lower highs. So the very short term, can be a little bit concerning here. Can see a bit of a drawdown, like I said, to, the mid to low 100s potentially. Worst case, in my opinion, 97, 98. But I'd be surprised if we get lower than that. But that's kind of what I'm expecting right now from NVIDIA. So again, if there's a place to reject, we're pretty much right at it, somewhere around this, 110 to 112 range roughly. And if we do, and again, come back down, I do expect that to be a buying opportunity. NVIDIA's options flow this morning was very, very bullish. I think that's pretty obvious, right? Extremely bullish options flow this morning. But throughout the day, it did slowly start to drift back to being neutral, if not maybe slightly bearish, as puts really started to come in towards the end of the day, as you can see here, right? Very different screen here in the morning versus all the way up here towards the close. Very different screen. So yeah, that's going to be something to watch out for. Again, I said this in the Tesla video, but if you haven't seen it, QQQ did come in with some pretty bearish flow towards the end of the day, and VIX did come in with some pretty substantial call flow. Where is it? So block, right? A substantial call flow came in on the VIX as well. So clearly some whales or institutions expect some volatility to return with this week's data prints coming out, CPI, PPI, and we have another one on Thursday. I forgot what it was. But yeah, so again, to be careful with that. But again, any dips, in my opinion, as long as those levels hold, in my opinion, are just really great opportunities as it stands, at least right now. But all in all, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. And as usual, I will see you tomorrow for the next daily NVIDIA update. So until then, thanks for watching. Peace.